Good morning. Welcome to the Friday morning live stream. I am Bill DeWeese, professional voiceover talent for the past 16 years and voiceover coach. And every morning, weekday morning about this time, we hop on YouTube together just to share a thought regarding voiceover, something, a tip, a strategy, maybe an inspirational, motivational thought, something to help push you towards success in voiceover. When I say success, we're talking about money, profitability. And speaking of which, if you have not yet checked out my VoiceOver Blueprint program, I invite you to click, I think it's the first link in the description below this video. I have a 90-day all access. It's at a drastically reduced price from the forever version of the program. And I say forever and not full version because in the 90-day all access, you have access to everything. The on-demand, video on-demand streaming content, which there's covering every aspect of voiceover. You've got the nearly daily live coaching sessions that are part of that, as well as the private group and the daily live streaming that I do from my studio, so you can watch what's happening in the life of an actual working voiceover talent. So, with that in mind, what are your questions today? It is Friday Morning Live VO Q&A. So, what is it you're dealing with in voiceover? Are there any struggles that you're having? Is there any confusion in your voiceover life? Something that you need some clarity on or something that I can do to help along the way? That is why I'm here. And we've got McKenna tuning in from St. Louis, Missouri. McKenna's excited to be here. McKenna, we're excited that you are here. Gertie, good afternoon to you in Belgium. Good to have you on the live stream this morning. Don, what's happening in Washington State? You are up bright and early this morning. And thank you. You're very welcome. It's been a, excuse me, it's been a good week in voiceover for me. This is my busy season. And as I've mentioned a few times previously, so, COVID took a bite out of my voiceover business. I mean, still doing fine. I'm not having any financial issues, but it certainly, it took a bite out to the point where it was quite a bit less than what I was accustomed to making. And it's been slowly growing back, I think, with the rest of the economy, at least here in the U.S. I think all businesses have been affected to some degree. But this is my busiest season. So by busiest season, I do a lot of open enrollment training for companies who need to inform their employees of what their benefits are for the upcoming year and the process of making sure that they're signed up and eligible and all that kind of stuff. And thankfully, there's a lot of training that's produced around that. And thankfully, I have about 4 clients that do a good amount of volume in that area. So I have been doing far better than usual over the past few weeks, which is nice. It's always nice to head into the holiday season, doing well. So let's see here. It's 37 degrees in Illinois. Illinois, right. All you Illinoisians out there. What's up in San Antonio, Mark? Good to have you on the live stream. What's up, Curtis in Clearwater? Rob in Loveland, good morning, my friend. Piper in British Columbia. Do you have STEM? Gertie's asking, do you do STEM warm-up? I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to, whether that's a typo or whether that's an actual thing. I don't know what a STEM warm-up is. But in terms of, warming up in the morning, I don't have an actual, like a technical routine that I go through. I'm asked this a lot. And some people do. There's nothing wrong with that. It's certainly good to warm up. But the way I warm up is, first of all, with some hot coffee. So a hot beverage for me, I'm not recommending you drink hot coffee. I'm just saying, whether it's hot tea or hot water or whatever. I like a nice, warm, not scalding hot, but I like my coffee pretty hot. So that gets my throat, warmed up, loosened up, kind of cleaned out, which is a good way to start. And then, of course, what I typically do is start with something that's relatively easy, maybe a script that's e-learning that's not highly technical and doesn't require vocal gymnastics. And I'll do, because normally I'll have several projects lined up in the morning to start my day. So I'll start with the easiest. Or now that I've been doing the morning live stream, you guys are a warm-up for me. Because after I'm talking for 5, 10, 15 minutes, I'm more than ready to go. But certainly, it's a good idea to you need to be doing something before you dive into voiceover, whether it's just reading something or doing, stretching your mouth. Sometimes I'll open my mouth very wide and stretch all the muscles out, move the tongue around a lot, but I don't really have a highly technical routine that I do. Hey, Bernard in Atlanta. Let's see here. And if you have a question about my training, just if you look into the link, you can get information there, and my email is in there as well. Stephen Bucyrus, hey Dory, how you doing? You refer to my book all the time. Well, thank you. And you guys may not even realize I wrote a book a number of years back called How to Start and Build a Six-Figure Voiceover Business. It is available on Amazon. I rarely ever talk about it, but it is out there. Hey, Johnny in Houston, good morning to you. Had to mute my sneeze there. Seasonal allergies, thank you very much. How do I deal with grammatical error when narrating an audiobook? And how do I deal with allergies? I just take allergy medicine, over-the-counter allergy medicine, which obviously doesn't do 100% the job, but it's the best we got right now. Okay, 3 sneezes, that should do it. Zyrtec, that's what I take. And again, obviously, it's not a 100% cure. When it comes to making, mistakes, whether it's audiobooks or e-learning or in anything, I don't consider my job is not really to prove. However, if I see something that's extremely obvious, excuse me a moment. Thought I was going to sneeze again. Wow, it's one of those mornings, an allergy attack. Great timing for the live stream. So when it comes to grammatical errors, if it's something that's very obvious, I'll correct it on the fly. As I'm reading it, I'm not proofing it, trying to find those things. But if something's just, if it's a mild mistake, I'm not going to mess with it. Because, if I think it was written that way intentionally. But if I think it was just an obvious mistake, I will try to correct it. Here's the issue, though. I had this discussion with somebody else the other day. I've got most of my clients, they're great with that. But I've got a client or two where I know that if I correct a blatant mistake, it will be sent back to me for correction. So once that happens, then I won't correct anymore. I'll just read it. I don't care what it says or how bad it is. I'll send it back that way. Because typically in that situation, the scripts are written by people who don't speak English as a first language. And for some reason, they think they're correct and I'm wrong. So, and I'll correct, I'll give pronunciations. They'll come back to me and tell me I'm pronouncing words wrong. Then I know I'm not pronouncing wrong because this is my language. But they'll have me change it. So in those cases, I'll stick to the script as closely as I can. And, but usually I will, the first time I'm dealing with a client, if there's a mistake, if it's obvious, I'll try to correct it. And then if they don't want me to do it, I won't. McKenna's just starting out in voiceover as a business instead of a hobby. Good for you, McKenna. She's been watching my videos. Is there any video of mine in particular that you recommend I watch? All of them, McKenna. No, there's not one in particular. I mean, they're all put there for a particular reason, and there's over 700, and I'm sure it'd be helpful to say, forget the other 699. Just look at that one. But I'm sorry. I can't. It all depends on where you're at and what you're dealing with. And I mean, I'm covering everything from setting up your studio to marketing to performance. It just depends on, where you're at. If you're I know you're starting your business. So if you're at the place where you're just trying to set up your studio, excuse me, you might want to search for, setting up your studio on a budget or something along that line. I've got a number of videos on setting up a studio. I'm sorry, I wish I could be more specific, but I'm not sure exactly what your specific needs are right now. Amanda, good morning in Alabama. Good morning to you in Southeast Michigan. Hey, Doug, Greensboro, North Carolina. Is it ethical to mimic someone else's voiceover? Yeah, you know what? We all mimic. Everybody, that's how we learn. We learn to talk by mimicking. Musicians learn to play by mimicking other musicians. When I first got started, I did a lot of mimicking, like just vocal style and inflection, and there's nothing unethical about that. Now, if you're trying to claim that you're that person or steal somebody's work, that's one thing, but no, mimicking somebody, no. Stephen, Barrie, Ontario, good morning. Janet, what's up in Florida? Let's see here. The stream moved on me here real quick. I got to go back and find my place. Because all you folks who are streaming in, I love it though. Hey, Josh in Louisville, you got that new microphone. Congratulations to you. All right. Hey, Don. Here's a good question. Should my prices be the same across different platforms, website versus Fiverr, etc.? Not necessarily. Yeah, I mean, I have a rate sheet that is my rate, but the way Fiverr's really set up differently. It's not really set up to work just off your rate sheet. It's kind of like so many dollars for so many words, and then you could have the upsells for broadcast and commercial rights. And there are some clients who are only going to pay you X number of dollars, and you may decide that at this point in time it's worth it that you do work for them at a lower rate than you would somebody else. So it's not uncommon to have rates kind of all over the place. And you may be thinking, well, might that be confusing to clients? I can remember maybe once in 17 years, and after doing 10,000 projects, where somebody who had used me on jumped to another platform and found me on another platform and hired me for a bit of a lower rate. But it's, I think of it this way. You're getting varying levels of service, much like when you buy a plane ticket. You can buy a first-class ticket, business class, or you can sit in coach. If you're going to sit in coach, you're not going to get the same level of service. If you pay my rate card, my full rate, I'm going to spend more time on your project in terms of editing and cleanup and proofing and all of that. But if you're paying me a bare bones rate, then you can do the really heavy duty. I mean, if you want to get into the nitty gritty of the editing. I always send it back. It's always usable, and it's good. It's good. And I don't know of anybody who feels like they need to edit it any further. But when it comes to proofing, I'll let the client proof it if that's the case. And there's never an issue with that, by the way. Steve in Oshkosh, most unusual client or job? Steve, as I think about it, I can't think of any weird things, like unusual things that I've done. Probably the most unusual job for me, but it's not unusual in that it was like weird or anything like that. But I was hired by Lego to do a voice for their a plush toy Lego City Policeman, which was one of the most unusual things for me to do because that's not something I typically do. Again, not weird. It was fun. And I enjoyed it, and it was kind of cool. It was out of the ordinary for me. That was probably my most unusual. Hey, Neil in Fairfield. Barbara, Virginia Beach, what's up? Matt, just contracted to narrate a 7-part video series. Fantastic. Way to go, Matt. Carlin, what's up? Steve Engelhorn, how do you handle phlegm? Oh, my gosh, yes. Coffee. Hot coffee. Lots of hot coffee. That'll just clean everything right out. Hey, Ian in Wilmington, what's up? Wilmington, North Carolina, that is. Mark. For intimate reads, do you get closer to the mic? Yeah, and by intimate, if you want the read to feel really close, like oftentimes I'll do a read that might be like almost at whisper level, not like this, but more like this. And so if it's a softer, I want them to lean in. I want it to be closer. I'm going to lean a little bit closer to the mic if I'm getting really soft. And likewise, if I'm doing a retail read where everything's really excited and really loud, I'm selling used cars or not I guess that's a stereotype. It's not just cars, but whatever. I'm going to back off the mic a little bit. What's up in Fort Worth, Texas? Jeremy and Austin, how you doing? Do I recommend a generic demo that has commercial, VO, e-learning, etc.? I don't recommend like a mix of this, that, and the other, unless a client wants that for some reason. Like when I say a client, I mean like a production company that wants to put you on their roster, and they want that. Certainly give it to them, but you need a commercial demo for sure. A narration demo would be as close as I would get to non-specific, because narration could be documentary, it can be e-learning, it can be corporate, it can be anything that's longer than really a couple of minutes. That type of read. Hey Fred, it's a rainy day in Cameroon. Eileen, what's up? Good morning. Lemuel, how you doing? I'll have to send you some coffee from my local roaster, Lemuel says. Well, I love my coffee. You know that. Thanks so much. Carl Lynn. Hey, John. Harleysville, Pennsylvania. Brent, St. Louis-ish. Sandra. What's up in Cape Town, Africa? South Africa. I've missed watching you live, but I'm catching up on your videos this week. Fantastic. Thank you. Hey, Eileen. Hello from Ireland. Awesome. There's a great show that's set in Ireland that I'm watching now called Bad Sisters. That really has nothing to do with anything, except when you said Ireland, it made me think of that. And what's kind of cool is I love so much of it is set by the sea, and it's the geography. I've always found the geography of Ireland fascinating. It seems to be breezy, and you're always close to water, and the towns look very quaint. And maybe that's just because all I see is on television. I don't know. Neil says, welcome to Sinus Valley. Curtis, when is your voice at peak performance? I'm a night owl, so when are most offers sent to you and recorded? Well, I don't know. I don't know that I have a peak performance. I do know that the first hour is pretty rough for me, but after that, it's all pretty much the same. I don't operate around my voice. I make my voice operate around my schedule. I keep regular office hours. I come in at 8 o'clock in the morning to do the stream. I get to work. I wrap up around 4 or 5 in the afternoon, unless something else comes up that absolutely needs my attention later in the day. So I really don't. And I'm a night owl. I mean, I prefer to be up late too. I don't prefer to work at night. I prefer to work during the day and keep my evenings free, which is why I do it during the day. And my clients, most of my clients are North America, not all, but most of them. And so, working regular business hours helps me to help them because they need stuff done quickly. As soon as I'm done here in a half hour, like 36 minutes from now, I have a directed session with a client in Europe, I think in Denmark, if I'm not mistaken. So, for them, it's about they're 5 hours ahead, 1 o'clock or so in the afternoon. I'm not sure my math is right there. So I can still work with my European clients if I'm doing sessions in the morning. So I'm not thinking so much about when my voice is at its peak. I'm just thinking what's going to work best for the clients that I work for. Hey, Chuck. Good morning. Augusta, Georgia. Looking forward to the Masters tournament. We only have to get through winter through fall and winter, get to the spring, and then we'll be at the Masters tournament. Snow's coming to the UP within days, Rusty says. Hunker down, get ready. Make sure your shelves are well stocked and you got your mucklucks and mittens and all that stuff ready. Hey, Guy, what's up in St. Louis? Huge fan. Greetings from Florida. Well, good morning. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Carlin, I'm using an M-Track Solo interface with Rode PodMic and getting floor noise. My desktop computer has a humming sound, which I think is interfering with my floor noise. Well, without seeing and hearing exactly what's going on, a noise floor is going to come from. It could be. It could be electrical in nature. It could be a buzz or a hum. You will make sure that that's taken care of. Get somebody with some expertise to handle that. Is it from external noise that's going on? That might be a part of it. When you acoustically treat a room, it's not for the purpose of lowering the noise floor, but it can have that residual effect because it's knocking down a lot of those waves. So it can actually help take down the noise floor a little bit, even though that's not the purpose of it. You want to get your desktop computer as far away from your workspace as possible. For me, my computer is, it's about 4 feet away from me, but it's outside of my booth, and I just run long cables in here for my screen monitor and for my mouse and keyboard, and I create separation from the noise. So that would be for you. I think that would be the place to start. Get that computer as far away from you as you can, unless it's a solid state computer without a fan, and unless you have one of the very, very newer ones. Even the older solid state computers, like my MacBook Pro, has a solid state drive, but it still has a fan, and it can get quite loud. So you can't have that anywhere near you. That needs to be blocked. John says, if you can afford a professional demo, would you definitely recommend it? Absolutely, yeah. I mean, your demo is it's your resume, it's your calling card, it is how people make the initial judgment as to whether you're worth their time or not. It is the opportunity door opener, the door of opportunity opener. That's how I should state that. I cannot overemphasize the importance of the demo. Now, you have to close the deal. In other words, if the demo opens the door and says, here, would you audition for this? Then, you still have to win that audition. But the demo that's what invites them in to your world, to check out what's going on, to invite you to be a part and participate. I can't overemphasize how important it is. And by the way, if you want to find out more about my demo production, just reach out to me, training@BillDeWeese.com, training@BillDeWeese.com. And actually, let me give you another email address. I'm going to save you a step. Email Mallory@BillDeWeese.com, Mallory. What Mallory does for me is that she has a packet of all the information along with some a sampling of demos I've produced, so you can hear those, and she'll get the price list out to you along with the demos and stuff, so you can check that out. But good question. Thanks for asking. I started a YouTube channel a few months back, and it's taking off. I'd love to get into the industry. Had a question regarding demo reel. I created a demo, but is it better to have it without music or such, or just voice? Well, if you're producing it yourself and you're not a producer and you don't have experience with it, then I would say dry voice, no music and sound effects. But if you have a background in commercial production and you can mix proficiently, then sure, it would be fine, as long as you're adding appropriate music and sound effects. Rob says, what do you recommend for health insurance for a self-employed voice artist? Boy, that's a good question. And this will be my last question today because I got to get prepped for my upcoming recording session. Now, there's some of you who may be full-time and you have a spouse or partner that works and has benefits. And if that's the case, that's awesome. That's ideal. When I went full-time, my wife had a full-time job, and so we had family health insurance through her employer. She eventually quit to help come work and help me because she handles the administration of my voiceover training business, and so there's a lot to deal with there. So we're both, we're a self-employed family. She's done the research, and it's going to cost us $30-ish, maybe more, $1,000 a year for healthcare for us, which is a lot of money. I mean, we can afford it, we can do it, but the question is, but what if you can't afford it? I'm in a position now, I've done this for a while, that we could do that, but I'm not sure that's wrong. That's the best use of my money. And if you're just getting started, that's not even a question. It's like, well, how am I going to come up with $30,000, $35,000, or even $25,000 or $20,000 a year, for health insurance? So you need to shop around, first of all, to find out what you'll have to pay. The route that Vicky and I took was what is called a health share. You can Google this. There are nonprofit organizations. They're essentially, think of it this way. They're insurance companies that are nonprofit, essentially, nonprofit insurance companies. So they're not as expensive. They don't have the high overhead and the high salaries and such that a regular insurance company would have. So instead of paying $3,000 a month, or maybe a little bit less, depending on what level of insurance coverage you get, we pay about $350 a month. Now, the other flip side of that coin is that you're paying out of pocket up front for most things. So for instance, I'm paying for, if I'm doing a basic dental visit or I'm doing a basic, like an annual physical, I'm paying for that out of pocket, and I'm paying 100% for that. So you're paying more for that. But when you're self-pay, an interesting thing happens. I get, wherever I go, I get a 40% discount. It's amazing. Even doctors don't know what the cost of healthcare is. It's shocking when I go to an office and I tell them that I'm self-pay, and they automatically will give me a 40% discount. But then maybe there's something more extensive that needs to be done, and I'll say, can you give me, tell me what the cost of that would be, because I'm going to turn that into my health share. And they're like, I don't know. The doctor doesn't even know. They have to do research because they're so used to only dealing with the insurance companies on it. But it's interesting because it becomes more consumer centric. You're more aware of what's going on, what the costs are, and I think you make wiser choices as a result. But anyhow, that's the route that we've gone, and we've been doing that for a few years. I mean, we're healthy, and we've had no, issues that are extensive, and we've rarely even had to use it, because what we do is just mostly, annual physicals and that kind of thing. But I'd much rather pay $350 as opposed to $3,000 a month, and then pay a little more upfront for basic, my basic annual physicals and that kind of thing. But anyhow, you can Google it and research it. All right, guys. Hey, I need to wrap this up because, again, I got work to do, and I've got a recording session to do with a client in Europe in about 27 minutes. So thanks for being here. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. Have a great day, and have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon.